This is the third time we take a look at the area that became Jeannette before it was ever Jeannette. I have in the background here a mapping that shows Jeannette as it is now. And I put these colored circles to show things that were happening long before Jeannette was even thought about. Today we're going to look at this one here. This purple one. It's on Brush Creek, which is the blue line. This is the railroad going through Jeannette. This area down here is South 4th Street. South 4th Street, right where Brush Creek goes over to. Peter and Sophia Smail came out here from Northampton County about 1800. They acquired a 200-acre farm. And on a part of that farm, they built a mill. This was a sawmill, what you'd call an up and down sawmill, because it was driven by water power. There was no electricity or steam to do that stuff yet. By 1808, the tax man came around, and he taxed the Smails for a mill, and they also had a still going. They were making whiskey or some kind of hard liquor. It was a very common way for the early people to make some money. Often liquor or whiskey was as useful as money when it came to trading for commodities. Now this is a view of that area done in 1897. You can see 4th Street, this is South 4th Street, and this is Brush Creek coming around and under the bridge. And by this time, there's absolutely no sign of Smail's mill. Tax records for the mill go into the late 1820s and perhaps the 1830s. And I don't know if it continued after that, but it was a very useful thing in the neighborhood to have a sawmill. This shows John Smail. John was a son of Sophia and Peter. He was born on their farm in 1804. When he grew up, he became a captain in the Brush Creek militia. Pretty serious looking guy. He also very likely worked at the mill at times. And he lived on the Smail farm all his life. He himself had 13 children by 2 wives. I believe 7 of them grew up to maturity. This just shows you what a sawmill was like then. This was the water wheel. Water would be poured on that, and it would turn this big shaft around. And geared to the large shaft was another shaft, a crankshaft, which would turn, it would convert rotating energy into reciprocal, up and down energy. This is what would make the saw go up and down. This log would be pushed through there. And you can tell the old wood that was done by the up and down sawmills because they don't have the curved arc that a round blade would give you. These old sawmills couldn't cut with a round blade because they simply didn't go fast enough. Once the steam engines came around, then they could start using the round blades. Now this gives a view from the air, just to show you what the area looks like now. We're looking down on South 4th Street, and this is Brush Creek, where it goes under it. And these are other landmarks that you might recognize: Chambers Avenue, Division Street, Chestnut Street, Mill Street. Over here is something I might just point out. This is just debris at this point. But this was really one of the things that actually started Jeannette. It was the McKee Glass Company. If McKee Glass had not happened there, there would be no Jeannette. It was like the origin of the town. It's what gave the town life. And we're going to see a little video that I did right at this point. I was on the bridge going over Brush Creek, and we're going to shut this down and see a little video. Hang on. We are now at a place where the Smails used to have a mill. The mill that the Smails had was run by water. You can see there is cement curbing for the stream, Brush Creek, that runs through here. And this is where 4th Street goes over top of Brush Creek. And right around this area, the Smails had a mill dam, and they had a sawmill. The original two Smails, husband and wife, had a son named John, among others. John stayed on the old farm all his life. John was a captain in the Brush Creek militia, and he no doubt worked in the mill when he was a boy. And we are where the Smails used to have their mill, at 4th Street in Jeannette, where Brush Creek goes under it. And we should, looking in that direction, be looking north. And I think that's enough for this little piece. This time now, we take a look at an old house, a very old house. One of the senior citizens of the county, probably. It is no doubt a valuable cultural resource of the local area. So we go from Smail's Mill up here to an old stone house. It's said that the old stone house has the date 1772 cut into the wall, the front, the stone. It's right on Lafferty Street, 301 Lafferty Street. This shows it in context, in the context of the city of Jeannette. Good Street back here, State Street, Lafferty. This is Thomas coming up from Grapeville. And once upon a time, it sat here all on its own, without any of these houses around it. It was built by the Altmans, this house and several other houses that were up on the pike, the old turnpike, which has been realigned to be what we now know as Route 30. This is looking right down on it. It gives a sense of the old house itself. This is the actual house, this part here. The back part was added on later. It's not part of the old historic stone house. Now this is a shot that shows about as much as you can see of it. Out of respect for the privacy of the people living there, I think it's good to keep a distance because they no doubt are aware of the historicity of it and that people are always wanting to go snooping around and take a look. So we respect their privacy. And next I have a very short little clip of video of what we can see of the place. Maybe somebody locally knows more about it because it is rather secluded and it's very visibly put where it is with the fencing and trees around it to keep onlookers at a distance. We are looking at the old stone house at 301 Lafferty. Supposedly this place has a place where there's a date carved in it, 1772. I can't verify it from this point of view. We are on Lafferty. walking down the street. The place is well taken care of, and it's well locked also, apparently. We look in, and we see a very nice place.